welcome back to Cruising as Crew. My name is Lucy and today we are going to talk about prohibited items on board Royal Caribbean ships. So for those of you who don't know, I am working on board Harmony of the Seas. I am coming to you from my crew cabin, and over the past few weeks that I have been on board, I have actually met like 5 or 6 people that have either had things confiscated when they've tried to get on board with them. Basically, they've bought prohibited items on board with them, and yeah, it has not gone well for them. So I thought I'd make a video about prohibited items on board Royal Caribbean cruise ships so that you don't find yourself in the same situation as the people that I have met. But before we get started, please press like and subscribe, and also I have been posting videos daily over on my Instagram, which is Cruising as Crew, so make sure you go and follow me over there. And if you are thinking of starting a career on board cruise ships and you want to get a job but you've got loads of questions and you don't know where to find the answers, I've got you covered. So if you go over to cruisingascrew.com, I have made 12 career guides, and they basically answer every question that you will ever have about working on cruise ships. We've got one on sharing a cabin, we've got one on money and taxes and all of that malarkey, a recruitment agency list, and many more. So honestly, if you are thinking of working on cruise ships, please go over to cruisingascrew.com. You will not be sorry. But anyway, let's get into this video. The first thing that is banned from Royal Caribbean cruise ships is something that you probably wouldn't expect, and that's a lilo slash pool noodle or any kind of like floating devices for the pool, like a rubber ring or anything like that. And the reason you're not allowed to bring lilos or rubber rings or anything is because there's limited space in the pool. So if you had 5 people all on a lilo spread out in the pool, that pool, like, no one else would be able to fit in the pool. Do you see what I mean? So it makes sense why you're not allowed to bring them and use them on board. However, you can bring your floaty on board and use them out in port. You're just not allowed to use them in the pools on board the ship. And if you do like to use a lilo, a rubber ring, a flamingo, I would bring it, just because you can save yourself some money. So like the other day I was in Coco Cay and I was like, oh my god, they have floaties, like lilos that you can use, but they're $20 each. So if you have one at home, you could just bring it with you. Or if you just want to pay the $20 to save yourself having to waste luggage space and the time it would take to blow it up, then I understand. The second thing that is prohibited on board a Royal Caribbean cruise ship is a big fan. Strange that I have to include it, but yes, someone bought on a big fan, and I mean a big fan. I was like, nevertheless, it's new news to me. People like to put fans in their staterooms because the aircon just doesn't do the trick for some people. Unfortunately, it's not allowed. So the fan puts too much strain on the electrical system, so that's why it's not allowed. It's a fire hazard, and it's just, I mean, god, bring in, like, I'm talking about a big fan. I'm not talking about those like handhold ones that you use out in port. Those are fine. Bring as many of them as you want. I mean, maybe that's the key. Maybe just get 20 of them and put them around the cabin. No. But yeah, no big fans. Number 3 is perishable food. So you can bring anything on that is sealed. You can bring a bag of crisps, sweets, chocolate, anything that is factory sealed. However, if you made a lovely picnic and put it in some Tupperware before you decided to come to the cruise ship, but you haven't eaten it and you want to bring it on board, that is going to be a big no-no. You can bring the Tupperware, but they will make you chuck the contents of said picnic away. If you baked a cake, someone baked a cake, which was a lovely idea because they came on the cruise with a big group of people and they baked a birthday cake, and they were really upset that they couldn't bring it on board. Unfortunately, that's just the rule. There's multiple reasons why it is the case, but yeah, no perishable food. That is the same for crew as well. So, you know, if I go out in port, I can't bring fruit back on board. I can't bring bread, or unless, you know, it has to be factory sealed. So don't bring any baked goods on board. As lovely as your baking may be, you're not allowed. Number 4 will be appliances. So, irons, steamers. If you guys have been watching my videos for a while, you will know that I tried to take a steamer on board one of my Virgin Voyages contracts, and unfortunately I thought I was being crafty, but I wasn't. It got confiscated. No coffee machines, no huge smoothie makers or anything like that. So appliances, no toasters. Someone did try and bring a toaster on board with them once, a guest. That was interesting. So no appliances. Reason being, these are a fire hazard, and a fire on a cruise ship is the thing that us crew members are most afraid of. It would be pretty disastrous if we had a big fire on board. And can you imagine if your toaster caused that fire? Or your iron? Be pretty embarrassing. Of course you are allowed straighteners, curlers, hair dry, anything hair related is, you know, absolutely fine. Alcohol. So if you buy alcohol out in port, when you bring it back on board, it will be taken off you, stored safely, and then returned to you the night before you disembark the cruise ship. And this is because the cruise line wants to make money from the bars. They don't want you going out and buying cheap alcohol and drinking it on board. They have to make money from selling alcohol on board. So that's why any alcohol you purchase outside in port will be confiscated and given back to you at the end of the cruise. Now, if you are crafty and you think ahead of time and you bring either 2 bottles of wine or 2 bottles of champagne with you on embarkation day, it will not be confiscated and you will be allowed to bring it on. Now that is per stateroom, not per person. So if you are coming on a cruise on your own, you can still bring 2 bottles of wine or 2 bottles of champagne, or 1 wine, 1 champagne. Either or. It will not be confiscated and you will be able to drink this throughout the cruise, but you're just not allowed to bring any hard liquor on board. So what's quite nice, if you bring champagne, you can make mimosas or, you know, get a little bit crafty with it. You can also bring 12 17-ounce non-alcoholic cans or bottles with you on embarkation day in your hand luggage, if you so please. This is a really good thing because if, let's say you're not a big drinker of sodas, but you know that you might want one during the cruise, but you don't want to buy a whole drinks package, you can bring 12 cans of Sprite or Pepsi or whatever you want on and just have them in the cabin. So if you want the odd one, then you can have it, and that way you only need to buy like the coffee drinks package or the water drinks package. You know, I'll make a video on drinks packages, but the point is, you don't want to pay all that money for a sodas package if you only might want like one every 2 days, you know, if you don't drink that much. So 12 cans of non-alcoholic beverages and 2 bottles of wine or 2 bottles of champagne on embarkation day. And then, like I said, let's say you're in the Caribbean and you want to get some rum or, you know, some hard liquor, maybe the price is better. You can get it, but it will just be taken off you once you get on board and returned to you once you are about to disembark the ship, so you can enjoy it when you are at home. So this is similar to the Floaties. Number 1, you can bring a drone on board, you just cannot use it on board. Of course, it will be thoroughly checked, just like everything else, by security. You cannot use it on board. You also cannot use it in any of the private destinations, so like Perfect Day at Coco Cay, Lamadee, but you will be able to use it in a generic port of call. So let's say you're docking in St Thomas, St Martin, you will be able to use the drone once you are outside. But yeah, you just can't use it while you're on board, which is fair enough. So if you are an avid filmer and you want to bring your drone on board, you can do, you just cannot use it on board. I think this one is pretty obvious, but I'll put it in just for, because why not? But firearms are not permitted. You cannot bring your gun, you cannot bring any ammunition or even, you know, a realistic replica. Reason being, can you imagine someone waving their realistic replica of their gun around? It would cause chaos. No one knows it's a replica. So no guns or anything that looks like a gun may be bought on board. Number 8 is illegal drugs. and this is going to be abiding by American law. So I actually mentioned this to crew members because let's say a crew member is on board a Royal Caribbean cruise ship and that cruise ship goes to Cozumel. The crew member's not feeling too well, so she goes out in Cozumel and gets some medication. What is legal in Cozumel, Mexico is not necessarily legal in the United States. So if she comes on and the ship wants to conduct a random drug test, the medication that she's bought outside might actually show up as an illegal drug in her system. Sometimes it can be an innocent mistake, sometimes it's not innocent and you just wanted to bring illegal drugs on board. But just be careful. If you're not sure, don't bring it, is my advice, unless you really need it. If you do, then you can check with the cruise line before you come on board, you know, because usually if they know about it, they're a lot more lenient. Like if you've given them forewarning, then they're usually okay. But I mean, not with it, but you know what I mean, like they're nicer to you if they find it. If they don't know you've got it, of course they're going to assume you're a criminal, which ain't what you want on your vacation. Number 9 is walkie-talkies or baby monitors. I honestly don't know why walkie-talkies are not allowed. It must interfere with something. The baby monitors, I do understand, because you shouldn't be leaving your baby in the, you know, like it's just a bit weird if you left your baby in the cabin and then you know, the parents went down to one of the bars to, but I don't know. I also just don't think they would work. I don't think the baby monitor or the walkie-talkies would work effectively on a cruise ship, but I could be wrong. But nevertheless, they will be confiscated if you bring them on board. And then the 10th thing that is allowed but with restrictions is spreading ashes at sea. So I don't know if I've ever told this story before, but I always remember on a P&O ship, a family came on to spread their dad's ashes, and idiots, they were stood at the back of the ship. Stupidly, they, you know, tipped the ashes out into the sea, out of the urn into the sea. The wind was blowing the wrong way, so the ashes flew back onto the sun deck and covered everyone, because as you can imagine, there was loads of people sunbathing in their bikinis covered in sun cream, so the ashes stuck to the sun cream. It was quite possibly the most hilarious thing, but also awful for the family and for the people who were just trying to get a tan. They did not want to be covered in Albert's ashes, but Albert. So you can spread ashes at sea. However, understandably, the whole urn has to be thrown into the sea. So it has to be a biodegradable urn, and you have to have a certificate saying that the urn is biodegradable. Upon boarding, you will have to provide a death certificate and a cremation certificate to guest services, and also see guest services to arrange a time to spread the ashes, to throw the ashes into the ocean. So it is allowed, but please do not spread the ashes like confetti, because all those people covered in suntan lotion will not thank you for it. But those are the 10 things that are not allowed on Royal Caribbean ships. I hope you find this helpful, and if you have, or if you've enjoyed it, please press the like button and the subscribe button. I hope you have a fantastic week ahead, and I hope you have had a great week. But yeah, as always guys, I will see you in the next video.